Axel Bassani certainly setting a fast time there. Hasn't managed better than P8 in Superpoles in this 2021 campaign. He's just gone P5 with a 137.2, and that's only 0.4 of a second down on Jonathan Ray's fastest times. Chaz Davies is having a brilliant lap here after the first sector. We'll see if he can maintain it to the end, but only a fraction down on Jonathan Ray after sector number 1 is Chaz Davies, so he's certainly going to be a man to watch. We just saw Alvaro Bautista cross the line at P9. Bautista a 137.4 as well, so it's very close once again once you get outside of that gap behind Alex Lowe's, really. Jonathan Ray and Alex Lowe's with just a 1/10 of a second between them with just over 2 minutes remaining.
It's interesting actually, because we saw Lowe's come into the pits and then change onto a new tyre. We've also seen Van der Mark and Haslam do the same thing as well, so they're going out triple stinting in this section, but coming out on the race tyre at the end of the session, so they're going to use the X tyre. We'll see if they're able to find some time. We can see that a lot of riders finding some improvements right now. Chaz Davies certainly one of those with a really fast opening half of the lap. We'll see what he does in the third sector where it's all those first gear corners.
Even better for Chaz Davies, who's tracking in line to move up onto the front row of the grid. Chaz Davies hasn't had a pole position since Imola 2019, hasn't even been on the front row of a Superbike grid since 2019, but Chaz Davies has an opportunity to really upset the pecking order here. He crosses the line, it's provisional pole, a 136.693, the fastest time we've seen from Chaz Davies, and by some margin he's delighted with that. He knows it's a strong lap, but he's still going to be under pressure. Next to the line will be the two Yamaha favourites of Locatelli and Razgatlioglu, and they're tracking very similarly to what we saw from Chaz Davies. Locatelli will be the first to the line, but it's Toprak who's behind him, who's more crucial in the context of the championship. Fastest man over the two-day test here in June was Razgatlioglu. He's not going to be able to beat Locatelli this time around, and it's Andrea Locatelli who goes provisional pole now, a 136.580, but all of these times are still vulnerable because Jonathan Ray is up at the halfway mark, so too is Scott Redding. Tom Sykes is now taking P1 away from Andrea Locatelli, 136.546, certainly one of the most memorable Superpole sessions we've had in this 2021 campaign. Short lap it might be here in Navarra, but it's throwing up plenty of excitement in the closing moments. We're just 40 seconds away now from the checkered flag falling. Can Scott Redding get himself back up onto the front row of the grid? He's 8th at present. Tom Sykes leads the way, 136.5, and it's a 136.2 from Scott Redding. Now over to Jonathan Ray, 0.2 of a second up with one sector to go. Ray bidding to maintain his unbroken run of pole positions in 2021, and he's done it. It's a 136.122. Sensational effort once again from Jonathan Ray. Pits Scott Redding by a 1/10 of a second. He's 4/10 up on Tom Sykes in P3. There is still an opportunity for a couple of riders here, though, to get up onto the front row of the grid as the checkered flag is about to fall.
Yeah, we saw Van der Mark out at the start of this session on a race tyre, uses the X tyre at the end there to move up into 9th fastest as well, so good performance by Van der Mark here in the closing moments.
Garrett Gerloff is the next man to try and improve. He was up nicely after 2 completed sectors, but he's lost a lot of ground in sector 3. Alex Lowe's also in line to improve, but he's not going to challenge the top 3, and neither, I don't think, is Toprak Razgatlioglu. 6/10 down after 3 completed sectors, so it will be those penultimate laps of this session that are going to prove decisive. Jonathan Ray is actually going round for another lap exactly as he did on his first stint, but he is down by a 1/10 of a second after sector 2, and I don't think he's going to come under too much pressure in the closing moments here. Scott Redding's tried to eke out another lap, but he's 2/10 down at the halfway mark.
Yeah, and for Redding that looks like it's probably going to be it, but we did see he was very strong in the second half of the lap on the first stint, so we'll see if he's able to close up anything on Jonathan Ray. He needs to find 3/10 of a second though, so that's going to be a big ask. You can see there a bit of a moment through turn 15 as well for Redding.
5 front row starts already in this 2021 campaign for Scott Redding. It's going to be another one here today, but it is only going to be P2. Jonathan Ray's rolled off on his latest lap, must have had a mistake in sector 3, and so it will be Jonathan Ray who sits on pole position by less than a 1/10 of a second from Scott Redding. But the big story really of that session, Toprak Razgatlioglu down in 8th.